Hey everybody, this is Sid Sexton and my good friend Keith Glines with another episode 98 of the Overlap Podcast. Good morning, Keith.
Good morning.
And for those of you that are just tuning in after 98 episodes or 97 episodes, the Overlap Podcast is the podcast where we really discuss and, dig a little deeper into the overlaps between business and fitness, family, parenting, and management, which is timely for today's topic, and really kind of based on the idea that there's really no compartmentalization in life. How you show up for the workout is how you're going to show up at work, and how you show up at work is how you're going to show up at home. And the lessons learned in either or all of those areas of your life can and should help you get better in all other aspects of your life. So that's what the Overlap Podcast is about, and that's what we've been really digging on and digging into over the last couple of years and coming up on 100 episodes, right, Keith?
Yeah, and the only question I have is if you waited until episode 98 to get involved with us, what are you doing with your life?
We'll wait. That's a very good question. You're probably doing good things though, because there might be better things to do with your life if I'm thinking about all the things that you could be doing. But this is a good exercise.
My mom thinks so. She don't even listen anymore.
She doesn't? Yeah,
No.
I don't. My mom still does. She can't figure out podcasts anyways. But at the end of this episode, I'm sure we're going to talk about jujitsu, and then we'll really be able to ask, what are you doing with your life? So just wait. So today's topic is one that we've had on the list for a little while. The funny story is we were actually going to record this a couple of weeks ago, and Keith was in an emotional state that he could not do it. So we had to push this one out. How's your emotional state today?
I'm very good today.
You're much better?
Yeah, I hated kids a couple weeks
You look
ago,
better.
so I couldn't do that.
You look better.
Right.
I saw you later on that night, and I don't know that I've ever seen you drink more than 2 drinks, and I think you drank 5.
Dang kids.
I know. That was good times. So today's topic is growing a business is like raising a child. There are stages, and each stage it requires a different approach and a different parenting or management style. And how about that for an overlap, right?
Right. And we talk about that a lot. We talk about parenting in the podcast, but we've never taken it step by step through the stages. That's what we're going to do today.
I think about that a lot when dealing with our team members, but I'm pretty self-conscious about it because I don't want to seem like I'm daddy or something, I don't want to come across derogatory or demeaning. But I do think that I've been doing this a long time, I've been in this business a long time. I've been, Tim and I actually talk about that a lot, where we're like, hey, why is this person not performing up to this? And he will remind me, or I will remind him that, hey man, they've only been here for like 8 months. We've been doing this for 20 something years, oh, got it. They're at the infancy stage, and we gotta just, show a little more grace and coach them up. Right. So
we forget a lot of times because we've been doing it so long that people that come on team don't have the knowledge that we have, or the past that we have, or
the experiences,
right?
Really, and with experience comes wisdom, and with experience comes better decision making. With experience comes wisdom. With wisdom comes better decision making, and then you learn from your mistakes. You end up becoming a planner and an organizer. That's kind of my thing, right? That's what I'm trying to get people to do, to think beyond like this weekend and the 12-pack you're going to drink,
Yeah, and if you have teenagers, you feel it.
Yeah, exactly. So anything you need to discuss, get off your chest before we're getting into this, or
No,
you
not
want
at
to just?
I'm so far past infancy in the parenting role right now.
Okay.
We can talk about that, and I can not get emotional about it. Now, when we get to the young adult section, I may break loose.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll ease into that, and hopefully you've settled in. So, let's start in with the infancy stage, and this could be your business, this could be team members, this could be your child, and so infancy. And we were just jotting down some notes when we were talking about this, that at the infancy stage, at the beginning of your business, or someone just onboarding in your business, or you just drove that baby home, it's going to require a boatload of focus, care, lots of energy, work. That baby doesn't sleep very much. Ask Molly Miller and Scott Miller. I don't think Mason slept more than like 3 hours at a time.
In 2 years.
I know, that's... Ooh, my hat's off to you guys.
Yeah.
I would have given him back, I think.
I was going to say also, so my brother just had a baby.
Yeah?
He and his wife just had a baby. And if I had to go through the class just to put the car seat in, I would have failed.
Oh, yeah. Is there a class?
They made them take a class.
Ooh, well, that's probably a good idea because I would have failed.
I did. I don't know that I put it in right.
Yeah. What's the statute
of limitations? That was like 24 years ago, so I'm okay.
Statute of limitations. So Ezra used to ride in the front seat of my F-150 in a car seat facing forward, I'm pretty sure I'm good now, but I'm glad I didn't get pulled over. And it took Jordan to finally realize what I was doing to tell me that I was doing it wrong, and I might have been doing that for months.
No wonder he likes a sport where he wears a helmet now.
Yeah, probably. So infancy stage, it just requires a lot of energy. What I'm trying to say here is when you bring someone on board, what happens a lot of times especially a new business is you'll hire someone to plug and fill in a role, and you'll go, "Ooh, good. That thing's done. Moving on to the next deal," right? Okay, you wouldn't think of it. Oh, got that kid out of the way. Here we go. Now we're back to the career. Good luck, baby. It's about the same way. They don't know where to park.
What I love is when new parents tell me, we can use Scott and Molly a lot in this.
Yeah,
it's going to be fun.
Let's do it. Because I know Molly's listening on her way over to Mobile.
Yeah, so they told me when they had Mason, oh, nothing will change. Well, and if you know them, they were the most structured individuals you've ever met. You go to their house now, not that way.
No.
So when you have...
And Scott was going to a jiu-jitsu tournament like every weekend.
Yep.
Like maybe 25 to 30 jiu-jitsu tournaments a year.
So one of the things, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so go ahead.
So one of the things I think you have to be prepared for, and this is my word for like the last month for some reason, is
perspective?
The word. Nope. Disruption.
Okay.
So when you bring a new team member on, when you have a new baby, I think you need to prepare yourself for a little bit of disruption.
How does one prepare for disruption?
Know it's going to happen and not be naive.
Okay, so just...
Yeah, your team member's not going to know what to do. You're going to have to train them. If you're bringing them into an existing role, they don't know how to fit right in.
Right. Yeah, so maybe a way to prepare for the disruption is to have a plan. That in my, and if I'm not going to be the best planner for childcare because I put my child in a front-facing car seat in the front of a bench seat in a F-150. But like onboarding a new person, it's a good idea to have a pretty good outline of what their first 7 days are going to look like. What's their first day look like? Do you have a little safety brief for them so you can kind of check those boxes and make sure the guy's not going to cut his hand off, or girl? And do you have like a little do you have a little brief of just the basic stuff, man, that to maybe relieve some anxiety here that you can send them before they even start? Like, here's where you park. If this is how lunch works, this is generally when we get off. These are your key performance indicators, or here's what we want you to do in the first 30 days. These are the things we want you to know. So there's not, you need to remember, if you can, what it was like to start a new position. How much free-floating anxiety did you have about all the questions you didn't have answers to? And try to maybe answer some of those in an initial email, onboarding email, an initial first day orientation or something like that. Have a good idea of what their first 7 days are, and then have a pretty good idea of their first 90 days. Just an outline kind of thing with some intentional, structured, scheduled touch points. That's what I'm saying.
Man, I wish you could do that with a baby. I wish.
Well,
it would be super nice to be able to give when the baby gets there, when my kids got there, to give them an outline and said, hey, this is what your life's going to look like here.
Yeah. Well, the baby's going to dictate that for you. They're going to start crying when they need something.
They do.
The only problem is they don't use words. So, you're just shoving a bottle in their mouth and then checking their diaper. It's, this or that, right? Yeah, pretty binary. Maybe there's 3 things. I don't know. So lots of energy, lots of work required. You made a good point that it's going to be a big ass disruption. Can we say ass?
Yeah. We
can. Good. We're not regulated by the FCC or whatever. No. Okay. It's going to be a big disruption, and you're right, and it's best to have a plan for that.
Right. I've watched you kind of build your plan over the years. Yeah. And it's changed.
So we did plenty of study. We went 2 years of doing like exit follow-ups, and then also trying to, let's say in general, these aren't actual numbers, but they're close to what my memory are. Is like, 2021, we hired 62 and 24 stayed on board, right? Well, out of whatever that math is, whatever the difference is, when did those people leave? And majority of them left in that first 90 days. And so we ascertained, and everyone says it, but I needed my own data, I guess, that, first impressions really matter. And then you start digging into that a little bit more, and most people make a decision about their workplace in the first 4 weeks. They make a decision, is this a good place for me to stay in the first 4 weeks? And if you don't make a good impression in those first 4 weeks, they're already starting to look for another opportunity, especially now when like everyone's fighting for labor and talent. The higher level of a hire, you better have your stuff together and make sure you got a good plan for them to get them acclimated and feeling comfortable and feeling engaged as a part of the team early, because they're going to look to go someplace else. You don't want your baby to leave.
No,
you worked hard to get that baby. I mean, you pushed that thing out, I
thought about applying, but then I put on the orange shirt. I didn't look good.
Yeah, orange is not your color. And it requires, pretty steady work hours too.
Yeah, that was a problem.
Yeah, that's you can't be at the coffee shop.
No.
I can't say much. I was late this morning.
Yes, you was.
Yeah, I were. You
because of one of your kids.
Yeah. Well, you made the point. You are late. I'm like, yeah, I know, dude. Thanks. Okay. One of the little I guess notes we have here is trust versus mistrust. And so with this plan, if you do a good job of building out this plan, you are building trust with, hey, these guys had a good plan for me. I feel like I'm an important part of the team. I've got some autonomy, but they're answering most of my questions. They've got a pretty good plan for me the first 7 days. I'm getting my supervisors checking on me pretty often in these first 90 days. And in those conversations, I'm building trust. Versus these guys don't know what they're doing. And really that just boils down to, I don't trust that this is a good place for this. I don't trust that this is a good place for my future.
Not to get too scientific here either.
Okay.
But one, because I can't.
Thank God.
But,
okay.
I just listened to Peter Attia's new book. 85% of trauma comes from this stage of life.
The infancy? Oh, wow.
I can't believe that. I didn't believe, but he says that 85% of trauma comes from the infancy stage. That they pick it up, the trust versus mistrust.
Yeah. That's wild.
So it sets your mindset going into life.
Yeah,
in this stage.
So young parents, you're helping your kids to be to trust others and move forward in the world, or you're setting them up to be to mistrust the world and others in the world.
And I guess you could look at your stat the same way. In the first 90 days, you
that's a good
help
point.
your team member.
Didn't even think about that.
That's good. Tweet that out.
Okay. I think you're the guy that does that. That's good though. So, trust versus mistrust, those first 90 days, infancy stage, pretty good. Moving along, we're good?
Let's move on.
All right, so the next stage, I don't know if this follows along with, early childhood psychology or, childhood development science. We said toddler. I think that's going to work for me. We're talking about 2-year-olds, they're starting to toddle around, I guess. But they're learning to walk. There's bumps and bruises. They're figuring it out.
My favorite stage of parenting, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah, it was.
I kind of like that 6, 7, 8-year-old where they're super sweet. They still believe in Santa Claus, but they can communicate pretty well. We'll get to there. So the toddler stage is good for you, huh?
Yeah, I liked that. I like chasing them around.
Yeah, but they're throwing the spaghetti and shit. It's just like, it's a mess. I like it clean and organized. But go ahead. So the toddler stage. For your toddler parents, what's up. They're falling down. They're actually touching the hot stove, even though you're telling them not to. They're looking at you while they're doing it. They're at that stage. They're looking at you, smiling while they're pushing the bowl off of the table full of milk and cereal. That's an actual story. Evan, thank you. Pushing it off, and then when it drops, laughing, and then you get all mad, and they're like, they can't figure it out. They're like, what's wrong? And then they start crying.
I've had team members that way too.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
hey, watch this.
There's the overlap.
Right.
But I think the real message, what we're trying to say here is that in this stage, this is where they're going to make lots of mistakes. They're going to be slower to make decisions. They're going to be, they're going to need your advice a lot. They can't pick out their own clothes, not your team member, but shoes are on the wrong feet, right? They're going to wear lime green pants with like an off green shirt or something, They're going to wear white after Labor Day or whatever, that kind of stuff.
Basically, they're going to get some bumps and bruises.
Yeah, they're going to put on a tank top and shorts, and it's, they're in the mountains. They need real guidance. They've got they're going to get some bumps and bruises, but they usually learn. That's where they learn. Like, Dad's going to freak out if you drop the freaking bowl full of milk and cereal off the deal. My hand is actually going to get burnt when I touch that hot stove.
I like in our notes what you put though to flip it on the business, the entrepreneur here. You put 1 to 2 team members. And so I think you can look at, as you've started your business and you're growing and now you need to hire, this would be the toddler stage of hiring too. Yeah,
and I probably I failed to mention that in that infancy stage too, that it's going to require a boatload of your work. It is, there's no 4-hour work week when you're first starting a business. And I think Tim Ferriss would agree with that. You got to get things up and get going, maybe that's where that grind, hustle crap you see on Instagram and everywhere else, that's probably where it works the best, is getting something off the ground. I would say this, everything, business included, has inertia. And if you're going to start something, it's going to require a tremendous amount of effort to get that ball moving forward, right? And at the toddler stage, you've got a little bit of momentum because you've now hired 1 or 2 people. It's still requiring a lot of pushes to keep that to get that flywheel going, keep it going, and going a little faster. So, our little note here is autonomy versus shame and doubt. What were we trying to say there? Some of these touchy-feely subjects were Keith's, I think. Shame
and doubt comes from learning a lot of times.
There we
right?
go. I think what we're trying. I think the message there is with team members, with the entrepreneur, with parents. At this stage, you're trying to get your child, your team member, your business to start to develop through the mistakes and start to develop into what it's going to be, and recognizing that there's going to be lots of mistakes and not, and being okay with that, because the obstacle actually is the way. Those bumps and bruises are really that's what makes me who I am. That's what makes our business what it is. It's
what gives autonomy.
Dude, the real estate crash in 08, 09 and kind of making it through 2010 is really what was the pivot point for me. That's when I really buckled down and, stopped being really like a landscape designer, and like painting my picture and stuff and going, oh man, I really got to pay attention to these numbers. Let me crack back through the business books, and then really reach out and dig deeper on how do we manage cash flow? What does productivity really look like? What are the measurables we're trying to achieve? What are KPIs and stuff like that? So that's, but I can have an understanding intellectually about those things. I took plenty of business courses, and I read books, but it hits different when it's you. When you've got experiential knowledge, it's way better than intellectual knowledge.
I was going to tell you that you do look very creative today in that pine tree shirt.
I do. And if you look closely, there is a Yeti hidden in there.
I see that.
There you go.
Yeah. So you could probably draw today.
I used to be able to draw great. I was good. Painting my picture. It was fantastic. I was staying up till 2:00 in the morning, getting up at 5 and going, God, it was terrible times. But I was paying my dues, You're getting something off the ground.
You got to pay your dues.
Yeah.
In the toddler stage, you do that.
You do. Even in the infancy, but toddler stage, it seems to pick up because now you've got momentum, right?
Well, yeah, they can walk. You got to chase. This is the chase right here.
It's the chase. That's a good one. God, that's better. That's tweetable.
Oh, good.
All right, so early childhood is the next one, right? Again, this is going off Sid and Keith's concepts here. If you've got some real issues with these, please email Keith at keithglines.com or K, something like that. He's got real fancy email. Email him. You can find him on LinkedIn too. He's much more active there than I am. But early childhood. So at this point, we've had some bumps and bruises, right? At this point, you're probably way past your 90 days. You're probably into your second or third year being on the team, and you're but you're past infancy and toddler stage with your business, and you're starting to have some processes and some procedures, You're starting to have some concept of what your business is. You are developing a personality as a human being. You're developing a personality or establishing your personality within the organization, or your organization is establishing a culture. Culture really is, people use that word all the time, but what it really is just, this is how we do things here. Does that make sense? Again, this is my dumbed down version. I'm sure there's some Harvard Business Review definition, but that's my definition. This is how we do things here. And like parenting, if you don't parent your child, especially in early childhood, to help develop the habits or their personality, then someone else will. And it's probably not going to be what you want it to be. And that culture is the same way.
Yeah, if you don't develop here, or if you haven't developed in the infancy and toddler stage, you're not going to like what they become, and you're going to have to go to work again to flip it.
Yeah, there'll be a lot more work.
I've been here in my business.
Yeah.
Where I had to change the culture back to what I wanted it to be because I let it go for so long and it created a dynamic of its own that I didn't like.
Yeah.
And this is where you're finding out who you really are, because you can kind of be independent here. You have more independence here.
Yeah, and I would say at this point you're starting to go, yeah, I'm a business owner. You know, you might be telling people in that infancy and toddler stage, yeah, my business, this and that. But you've got some inferiority complex going on. I know you because I've been you. You're saying those things, but you don't really believe it. But about this stage in early childhood, you're going, man, we're doing almost $1 million a year. We're doing, 700,000 a year, or whatever it is, right? We've got 7 team members, You've got a business going on, you've got a real entity. You've got a location. You're not out of your garage anymore. You've got some stuff going on. You've got some overhead. So there's some pressure going on. You really got to meet payroll now. And that payroll is way bigger than you ever thought. You've got a real business going on. And if really let's say those 5 team members that you got, 7, whatever it is, if you're not, I wouldn't say you've got to be dogged about this, but if you're not real careful, it's going to take on a culture of its own. If you're just absentee owner here and you're out just selling, then how things get done doesn't get dictated by you. It gets dictated by the path of least resistance, which isn't almost never the best way or a good idea. Does that make sense?
Yeah, this is a really dangerous stage too in business ownership because your business can get away from you.
It can.
I was there.
I was going to say, this is really where this is sort of the dividing line almost. This is where people get to and they can't. They run into these obstacles here, and that's where they turn back to go back down to toddler stage where they can manage it, or they just, get out of it altogether because I can't find anybody to work. And I'm not saying that's not a valid excuse or whatever. I don't mean to sound derogatory about that. I'm not saying that's not a valid assumption, but it's awfully convenient. It's awfully convenient. There's other people finding people to work. Why can't you? You get what I'm saying? This becomes, you're going to run into an obstacle one way or the other, no matter what business you're in, whether it's a coffee shop, whether it's publishing, whether it's landscaping, whether it's software development. At some point, you're going to get to probably this early childhood or teenage stage, and it's going to get real difficult, and you're going to have to overcome those obstacles.
Really, this is probably the area in life, if you look at life, where you hit your first real obstacles.
Oh yeah. You're probably doing long division or something, or you might be dabbling into some algebra now. You're getting into some concepts.
Pre-algebra, probably.
Pre-algebra, you're putting letters in these formulas now, and whoa, what's going on? This is way different. And if you can get over that, you can continue to develop. You're out on the playground, and I don't know if you've seen a bunch of boys on the playground. I've got one, and they're a pack of puppies, man. They're all trying to figure out who's the alpha, and they're trying to find their place. And some kids lean in and develop and go ahead and take their place, and some of them just shy away and go hang out in the corner of the sandbox, and
this
don't
is really where,
engage.
If you look at childhood development, this is where mindset is created too. I can't remember the book I read, but you have from age up until age 7 to 10.
Okay.
To develop
I've heard something like that
to
too.
develop mindset. So after 10 years old, a child carries that mindset through life, and you're typically not going to change it.
So when you say mindset, just unpack that a little bit for me.
The way the brain works, the way thoughts come out.
Is that the way I develop ideas?
Yeah.
Or how I interpret?
And the way that you see the world.
Okay. Yeah.
And right. So most businesses fail. Most businesses fail within the first 5 years, right?
They do.
So this would be that time in a business.
Yeah, it's 5, 6, 7 years, something like that, maybe 4.
Right.
And really that's where you get the first big pushbacks.
Yep.
And same for kids. Kids in life, they're going to get some big pushbacks. There's going to be a bully. This is where you see bullies, and you either punch the bully in the mouth or you get bullied.
If you look at my first company, I was able to fake it for about 4 years, but then the money hit, right?
Oh, yeah.
So then the loans came due.
Yeah.
And so
I just had an economic crisis. No big deal. Based on real estate, my whole organization was kind of taking care of properties, and then they all went to almost zero. No problems.
Yeah, I built
no big deal.
I built a subscription-based tech company, and then Google gave it away.
Oh,
and
good.
So,
for free.
For free.
Yeah.
And then I was like, my subscriptions went from 5,000 subscribers to 100.
And those 100 didn't know about Google yet.
They didn't know about Google yet because they were old.
Yeah. Well, I thought I was going to get smart because I saw the, I wasn't dumb. I saw the economic crisis happen. And, well, I'll get into commercial work. There's going to be, no, those people were overextended too. And that guy, the GC, left in the middle of the night, owed me a gang of money, and they kept pushing me out, and finally walked away, owing me over $100,000, and I didn't have $100,000. I was broke. But, and maybe this is where mindset, like you said, and I actually think that's pretty astute, because that's where I was like, oh my goodness, I'm never going to be in this situation again where I need someone to pay me to make sure everything is okay. I'm going to start to manage cash flow, have reserves, make sure I'm forecasting and budgeting, and really watching the numbers, because numbers are the language of business.
Right.
And if I'm going to be, the stuff that I tell people on the podcast are the things that I told myself. If I'm going to be in business, I can't just be the purveyor of the product. I have to be a business owner, which is a totally different skill set than landscape design or landscape management or agronomic programming or any of that stuff.
I would say this is where grit and determination's built too.
Probably, because you're going to get pushback.
I mean, because when I went broke, I just knew I wasn't employable anywhere else.
Ooh, that's tough. Are you now?
Probably not. I'm probably worse off now.
Yeah, probably. All right. We moving on? Wait. Early childhood is initiative versus guilt. What do we mean there?
Grit and determination, I think. I mean, I don't know. Like, what do you think guilt means?
Well, I think when you're raising a child and they're making mistakes, they're learning to push back, they're developing a personality, you don't want to crush their personality. You want to help them develop that and who they are. If your business is moving into a different market than what you initially envisioned for it in the infancy, don't try to be a subscription-based tech company. When Google starts to give it away, maybe you've got to shift to something different to serve that customer in a different way. But that's the obstacle, right? Guilt, the child can say, oh, I'm so lame, or I'm worthless, and that's why I'm getting bullied. Well, no, you just need to, take jujitsu and maybe some Muay Thai.
This is where you learn the obstacle is the way.
You do learn the obstacle is the way. That's a good point. And, maybe that's where mindset and personality really, really begins to develop. Like we said. All right, next one. Keith and everyone else's favorite is the teenager stage. I actually didn't mind teenager stage. I still got an 18-year-old and I've got a 15-year-old. I don't mind it. But maybe my mindset is different. Go ahead. So, teenager.
This is where the 18-year-old teen still looks at you and says, I'm 18.
Yeah?
I can do what I want.
Okay.
Yeah. Go on and do that.
Yeah.
See how that works for you.
Yeah. So, I hear the resentment. I can feel it. Okay. So, they're wanting and sometimes capable. Your teenager, your team member, your business is wanting and is sometimes capable of more freedom, but they still need lots of direction. Here, they really begin to push back here. You've got a good team member developed up through the ranks. You've built trust. They've learned from their mistakes. They've developed a personality. They are plugged into the culture. They're wanting autonomy, And if you don't give them that, you're really holding them back. But this is what I see all the time, and I see this in me a lot, is this person is highly intelligent, highly capable. Take that and run with it. But I don't touch base with them enough to keep them tethered to the original concept of whatever we're trying to do. I don't keep them in line with the culture, the mission, the purpose of the business. And that can cause them to veer off, or it can cause them to feel less and less and less engaged, and less a part of something bigger than themselves. Does that make sense? I'm not going to, if you drop your teenager off at like a boarding school, someone else is going to educate them, but do they feel like they're part of the family if you don't ever see them, you know?
I don't know, but I would have liked to try.
That's probably a bad question for you. But yeah, you know, and then your business, you know, you can get to a certain point in your business. You're making money now. You got team members. You got some processes. You got some procedures in place. You don't need to be there. You could, Mike McCallowitz said, you can build your business where you're gone for 4 weeks at a time, you know, and so you're gone for 4 weeks and you're back for 4 weeks and you're gone for 4 weeks again. At this stage, the teenager stage, I would advise against that. I would say that you're still developing this business out.
Well, you know, I got back from my 4 weeks and figured out my teenager company through a party.
Yeah.
Basically.
Well, yeah.
Took off a little bit.
There you go. Well, when dad's away, they're going to break out the Busch Light, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're going to find 17 cans behind the couch.
Yeah.
That has not happened to me. I actually did that when my parents were away and they found a bunch of Busch Light behind the couch and I was busted. It was terrible. But Busch Light's disgusting, by the way.
It is disgusting.
It's disgusting.
It is awful.
When you're a teenager, you don't know.
But Busch, if you would like to sponsor this podcast,
don't. We're gonna find Fairhope Brewery or something to.
They don't have the budget.
They do. They're getting if they you know, just trust us. We'll increase your numbers enough. So teenagers, wanting and sometimes capable of more freedom, but they still need lots of direction. They really, really begin to push back, and here's where the owner mindset comes in, or the parent mindset.
Hey guys, this is Keith. Let me break down a scenario for you. Are you a business owner that is overwhelmed by the options of investing, but you're being told you need to invest in retirement, you need to invest in mutual funds, you need to buy some single stocks? Well, I have your fix. C2 Wealth Strategies, ran by our friend Wes Cody. Their website is c2wealth.com. If you are looking at investing at all and are confused by it, give them a call today. They will be happy to handle whatever you need. He's brought up very specific things that I need to be working on as a business owner in my investing life. Let him do that same thing for you. c2wealth.com, or go to the overlaplife.com page and click on sponsors.
Let me tell you about one of our sponsors, Chris Drogmiller. He's with CMD Fencing. One, I really appreciate his support to the podcast. He listens to the podcast, but long before that, he has done several projects for me at my home, at our business, and the dude just does an awesome job. One of the things I really like about him is it's basically just him and someone that helps him. His attention to detail is phenomenal. The work is always high quality. If you've ever had a fence built, you know that the gate itself and how it opens and shuts is kind of the stamp of quality. It always works well. I've made him make some interesting kind of fencing where it's all horizontal. He had no problems with that, did a great job. And the guy is freaking awesome. He's easy to work with and he does a fantastic job. He's a firefighter, so you know, he works 2 days on and 2 days off, so he comes in and knocks my project out on the days that he's off. And the dude's awesome. You can find him on our website, overlaplife.com. You can find him on Facebook, CMD Fencing. And let's see, his phone number is 901-484-5546. So if you need a fence, need some fence work, call Chris Drogmiller, CMD Fencing. You can have the mindset that you still need to direct them, guide them, parent them like they're in that toddler stage where you're giving them very specific directions and really disciplining them when they're off track and lots of touch points and whatever. You're micromanaging them. Or you can give clear guardrails, have some clear defined touch points, give them the outcome that you're looking for, and let them go and find their way to get to that.
But when you let them go, you have to be willing, if need be, to rein them back in this stage.
Yeah. But you're trying to develop something here, is what I'm getting at. Like, you've got something real. And you can have control or you can have growth, but you can't have both. And this is where that really comes into play.
My problem has been, once I let go, forget it, set it and forget it.
Yeah.
In business.
Yeah.
I've had a hard time when things went haywire at this stage, reining it back in.
Okay. Fair. Oh, and I think, give yourself some grace as a business owner. Give yourself some grace as a parent of a teen. There needs to be established some parameters, those guardrails. There needs to be clear, defined outcome that we're looking for with, smart goals like specific, measurable, accurate, reasonable, time-sensitive goals. By this time, we need this many clients or whatever, and these are the parameters. We need to sell them in this kind of thing and this kind of product, whatever, But you need to understand that the big deal is you don't have to go back to toddler stage unless you really gotta you gotta recreate the whole thing, and I don't know that you do if they've developed enough trust to get to the teenager stage. They just need different management style. They need different coaching style. I like this. At the teenager stage, I like this. You know where we're going. You know what we're trying to do. Here's what I'd like for you to do, just so I'm staying plugged in and I can give you some guidance. At the end of the week, just send me a quick report. 4:00 Friday or five bullet Friday. Thanks, Tim Ferriss, is what we do. Is just what did you get? What did you get done this week? What were your accomplishments? Can't remember exactly what they were. What were your obstacles you dealt with? What in each role they've got some KPIs. How are your KPIs? And then, what do you got coming up next week? Those are basically what we got. And they report that back to me because they're adult enough to do that. And I don't have to go and hover over them. And they should be able to do that. And if they're not able to, we got to have a discussion,
Yeah, last week's podcast, we talked about the Full Focus Planner.
Yeah.
It does that too, the weekly review and preview.
Exactly. But it's a different management style than me checking on them. And I hear that a lot. I got to check on my people. Well, depending on what level they're at, they should be reporting back to you. Right. They do work for you, right? You do set you get what I'm saying? That's where it should be. And they've got autonomy to do that. And here's what I'm doing. I'm still at that stage helping them to slow down enough to get all of those thoughts going through their head throughout the week as they're closing out their week to put it on paper, type it out, send it to me, organize their thoughts. I'm trying to help them to become planners and organizers. That's what I think I'm really trying to I'm trying to develop all of my team members to become planners and organizers. What's your plan for next week?
Which should be our goal with our kids too.
Exactly.
And you don't get called a helicopter boss.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a helicopter parent.
There you go.
Because you give them a little leeway, and then you take it back. And then you give them a little leeway and you take it back. Because you don't have full trust.
Yeah.
And so this is the stage where you really need to build full trust in your team that you've taught them right.
Yeah. You get anything, a C, anything below a B, give me those keys back. Anything below a C, I'll have the keys and your cell phone. How about that for a kiss of death? You take a kid's phone these days? Oh. The atrocity, like, how dare you take my phone? I'm like, dude, I'm paying for that thing. Get out of here.
Yeah. And if I'm still paying for it, I can take it back.
Exactly. Everything you got comes with strings.
I would love you to be at the stage, and we'll get that in a minute. I would love you to be at the stage where you're paying for everything.
Yeah, there we go.
But until you are, give it back.
Yeah. So,
speaking of the phone, okay. I got to go to the phone for a minute. I'm fixing to go on a rant.
Here's the resentment. I'm glad we didn't do this last week because you were.
If you look at 14 to 19-year-old kids right now,
okay,
their screen time on average, and this has scared me to death. And I did a test the other night at church. I had kids. I was sitting around, look at their screen time, 9 hours a day.
No.
Average.
You know who's not? Ethan Allison. That dude is at jiu-jitsu in the morning. He comes and lifts weights in the middle of the day, goes to jiu-jitsu in the middle of the day, and he's helping coach the kids class, and then goes to jiu-jitsu at night. You all should be like Ethan Allen. Get addicted to jiu-jitsu.
That's right.
It's way better than screen time.
Way better.
Yeah, go get a hobby. Go play football. Go play soccer. Go play basketball. Get off.
However, if you are on social media, just tweet us out. Make it TikTok.
No one from the ages of 14 to 19 are listening to us.
None.
So that's crazy. 9 hours a day.
9 hours a day.
Man, I don't think you're lying.
I had
it's shocking.
Wednesday night, I had 4 kids, teenagers, look at their phone. Not somewhere above 9 hours, somewhere below it, but around the average of 9 hours a day.
That's crazy. I bet mine's 4.
Oh, mine was 4. I looked.
I bet mine's 4. Yeah.
But you know, that's Maps when Maps is open. That's
okay.
So some of that is
email, text, social media.
And now I will say that number's skewed if you look at the phone for teenagers because they do have a lot of apps running behind the scenes.
Oh, okay.
They have a lot of apps tracking them.
Mm.
You know how on your iPhone where it asks, allow this app to track you?
Yeah.
So a lot of that hours is them not physically looking at the phone, but the apps are running on their phone 9 hours a day.
No wonder they're like little crack addicts trying to charge their phone all the time. Ooh, does our producer have some insight over here? Oh, the average is 7 hours and what? Across the board.
Yeah. That's not teenagers, right? That's everybody.
That's everyone? God. Average screen time. For teens.
Okay.
All right, parents, get your teens off of screen time. 35, you think? They're probably, maybe. So teenagers, back to the business world. Whether they're team members, they're looking for some. What you're trying to develop is industry versus inferiority. You're trying to get them to solve their own problems, work within parameters. A's and B's, anything below a B is an issue. These are your parameters, is what you got to do. You got to play a sport or have a job all the time, something like that, right? Or, hey, you need to have 5 quality controls a week and, 3 sales calls and sell, at least 40% closing ratio and meet these sales, whatever. You've got some KPIs for these folks. And I like them reporting back to you.
I'm so proud of my team this week, speaking of that.
Okay.
They decided collectively that they didn't need me in all the meetings. And that's exciting.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're probably trying to get things done without you coming in and slowing things down by espousing your wisdom.
So all I have to sit through now is the L10, weekly L10, which makes me happy.
Yeah. Moving along.
Moving along.
Young adult. So we're, what are we saying here? Is this 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24?
Yeah.
I think that's about right.
Yeah, graduated.
Yeah.
Let's just say that.
Graduated high school.
Yeah, high school.
You might be in college. You might not be in college.
You think you're something, but you're really not. You think you got freedom, but
funny.
You don't.
It is funny how like high school ends up being like the prism that they see everything through, and then once they've graduated high school, now they've arrived somehow.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, there's so many things you have no concept about, like taxes or paying bills. Or how that food ends up on the table.
You're still asking daddy for gas for your car.
Oh, that's a tough one. Yeah. So young adult, ideally they are self-sufficient at this point, but there can be failure to launch. That all kind of depends on the person, the kid, how you've developed them.
Have you seen that movie?
Failure to launch? Yeah, it's good. It's been a long time, but I remember it was funny. That's Matthew McConaughey, right?
Yeah, and to get him out, his dad he took his bedroom and created it as his naked room.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that.
Matthew McConaughey came home and his dad was naked watching a fish tank.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was, what's his name? Football guy.
Yeah, Terry Bradshaw.
Yeah, Terry Bradshaw. Yeah. So at this point, they often handle basic challenges, but big ones can throw them into a tailspin. These are some of our notes. They still need guidance. They should be on their own at this point. I don't know, in my mind, there's not a ton beyond the teenage years, other than they're probably if it's a team member, they're probably at a higher level of leadership at this point. They've gotten out of middle management into like the leadership team. They're totally capable of making basic decisions and running through most of the stuff, but there's going to be 6-7 things throughout the year that's going to throw them way off, and they need guidance.
I was thinking at this stage they should be talking to you less.
Yeah. Call home on Sunday. That's the deal.
And when they're coming out of the stage or they're failing to launch when the communication becomes more often.
Yeah, okay.
In business, I would say.
Yeah. And let's say you're the entrepreneur too, or you're the business owner, and you've got a young adult organization. You can go out at this point and be the face of the organization. At this point, I think you can do more of the social stuff. What do you call it? Like the Chamber of Commerce and things like that. People mix that up, and they're in the infancy stage and they're at the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
That's never been my thing, and maybe this is yours. I don't know, but I'm like, no, man, I'm getting this thing off the ground. I'm getting way more return going to see one specific customer and selling them, or creating a little marketing plan specific for them. Not spending 2 hours of my precious time going and meeting 18 people that maybe could help me connect to someone else. I'm going and trying to get more bang for my buck at that point. But once you got the business up and going, you can be a part of the community. You can be, I did volunteer stuff all week this week, but I can do that at this stage. I probably have a young adult business.
Yeah.
There's people in place. We've got
But
L10s.
if you look at the volunteer stuff you did this week, it was pretty legit. Like,
hey there. My good friend Steve Bousquet and his partner Christine Era, the owners of Green Profit Academy, are super excited about a new product they've got coming out. If you didn't know, they're the authors of Profit First for the Lawn Care Business, and it's a book written by Christine Era. Steve plays a big role in sort of adding to that, but they've got that book. It's already out, but if you're an audiobook listener, and you just learn better by listening, they've got the audio version coming out, and I think this is really cool. They've got Christine Era narrating the audiobook, and she does a really good job. I've heard some clips of it. It's pretty fantastic. And Mike Michalowicz, the original author of Profit First, he reads the foreword. And so they've got a book launch that's going to come out on their website, Green Profit Academy, and you should stay tuned for more information about that. They're going to have some giveaways. They're going to have some other special deals going on. But the book itself, the audio book, will come out September 12th. So please be on the lookout for that. And if you need some help with Profit First for your green industry business, please give them a call or look them up, Green Profit Academy. Thanks so much. It was good stuff. It's good stuff. It's good times. Yeah. But
I mean, if you want to meet a realtor, go to the Chamber of Commerce.
That's probably good. I'm just saying, like me, if you got a regular business going on,
right.
If you got a tech business or a publishing business, you don't need to go there. You could later.
However, the one at Lulu's.
Which one?
I think
that South Baldwin or something?
South Baldwin.
Yeah.
The waffles are good.
Yeah, I'm good. I love a waffle.
Yeah, me too.
Young adult, ideally they're self-sufficient, and they've got real identity, but they could have some role confusion, right? That was our little note.
Have you had that? Have you seen that in your organization?
Yeah, that happens all the time. You think someone is at the young adult stage, and you think that they would fit perfect into this, and once they get there, you think your child is ready for college. Once they get there, you realize they don't have the skills and haven't developed the habits to get up on time, make it to class, take their notes, study the notes, manage their time. That's why we did time management a couple of episodes ago. That's always the number one obstacle that keeps people from developing teenage and young adult stage. Because they're responsible for more and it's more abstract, right? We're talking calculus now, maybe a little bit of trigonometry. We're talking concepts. We're discussing and arguing, ideas versus, facts and ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. It's much more strategic.
In business, I think you should probably make this determination at the teenage side, but where you give them the option to find the role, which may be outside your organization.
Yep. Yeah.
But this young adult stage is where you may have to let them go.
You may have to,
if they can't find their identity there.
Yeah, they may be great people, and you've grown them up, and maybe your business has outgrown them too.
Well, yeah, and maybe you have to say, hey, I've been hindering you by not kicking you out.
Yeah.
When you look at the parental. Maybe, and in the parental time, maybe this is the stage where you kind of got to go, I'm hindering you by propping you up.
Yeah.
Which is hard.
I actually had this conversation last week. So, Ezra is at school, right? And he's going through and he's having to do all the crap you have to do to get. We're dropping him off. He's getting his dorm set up, but you got to figure out what that is. The summer school classes are starting. Football is going. How's the meal plan work? And he's trying to fill out all this the stuff online. And he's starting to complain about it, and then he's starting to sort of ask Jordan to do it, and then Jordan's starting to step in because she was having a conversation with that person. I was like, whoa, hold on. And he starts to get all mad or whatever and fussy. Well, she was already doing it. I was like, and we just took a walk. And I was actually, God stepped in and allowed me to be calm, cool, and collected and just put my arm around him. I was like, hey, man, you are now where you've always wanted to be. Yep. I would be doing you a disservice if I allowed your mother to start handling these little details. Well, she was already talking to him. No. That's her wrong. You have to handle these things. If you want to become the man you want to become, this is actually how you do it. You need to be building relationships with Miss Joy, who is like the position counselor, or whatever you call it, their advisor for academics, walking them through everything. Unlike a regular student, you've got someone that's going to help you through all this. You need to build a relationship with that person. You need to get all this stuff filled out. You need to know what that stuff is, because if your mother does it, you're always going to your mother. Do you want to be the kid? Do you want to be the 19-year-old kid next year that has to ask their mother for everything? Or do you want to be the kid that knows how everything works? And he's like, oh, got it. All right, cool, thanks. Instead of arguing and like yelling back at him, no, you got to do, and I sort of explained what the future is that I want him to get to, and painted that picture, the vision of what that is. He was able to attach to that instead of like getting defensive and going, no, it's just stupid. I don't need to do that. And it worked out really well. And I think that's what you're trying to do with these young adult roles. You're trying to really paint a bright future for them if they can overcome these obstacles, if they can start managing their own time, if they can meet these KPIs, if they can really develop that role out, they can really shine. Because when they win, we win, we all win, all that stuff.
But it's so easy as a parent.
It is.
To want to step in and take that obstacle away.
And I would say this, it's much more difficult as a parent because you've seen that kid and you're way closer to him and it's emotional. There's all of the crap that comes with it, that it makes it a hell of a lot easier just to bitch at them, and to yell them down because I'm the parent. And like we were just saying, I pay for everything. And like, if I'm using that trump card, I'm shutting down the conversation and I'm avoiding my responsibility of painting the picture of where we're trying to get them to as a parent. I'm neglecting that opportunity, which is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing as a parent. I'm exactly supposed to take my experience, my wisdom, and help them see that the obstacle, even at this stage, is the way. Who you are trying to become, because I've known you since you were born. You want to be this. This is actually how you get there. You are not in a TV show. Not everything is done for you. You are not special. You do not get to skip this stage in life. And doing these little things will make you who you want to be. That's what's going to get you there. Not like, having a virtual assistant do everything for you and you go out and paint your picture or something or play football.
I see. It's where entitlement is built.
It's entitlement. Oh my God. Perfect. Yeah. That's where it rears its head. Probably young adult, teenage
It's where
stage.
it shows.
Yeah.
I mean, entitlement is built in teenager and early childhood, I would say, but young adults probably where it shows the most.
And I think we get upset about entitlement, whether it's our team members or our teenagers.
But what we don't realize,
but it's our fault.
It's our fault.
It's our fault. We
built it.
We did. So let's take some extreme ownership, and what are we going to do to fix that and make sure it doesn't happen anymore?
God, I can't call them little shits now. It's my fault.
With some grace, with some tolerance, knowing that, man, it's just human nature, path of least resistance. But if you've done a decent job and they're decent kids, they want to get to that level that you want them to be at. They want to be autonomous. They want to be self-sufficient. They want to be someone you are proud of. They do. That's the one thing with sons, man. What's my son want? Me to be proud of him.
Yep, absolutely.
And if you want to get that, do something you're proud of. I'll be proud of you. And taking care of these things, that's actually part of it.
Yeah, watching my son right now, navigate this baby thing.
Oh, yeah.
Wife thing and all of that makes you proud when he does it well. And he's done it well.
Yeah, he's great. All right, adults. They're on their own. Maybe they're running a branch for you. Maybe your business is an adult business. And you are in the EOS world, you're in the ownership box. You're not even attending L10 meetings. I have not yet achieved this.
I've not gotten there, but God, I want to be there.
Yeah. Ricky's almost there, right?
He is.
Yeah. He's pretty much there. But he's got an adult business. He's developed these young adults underneath him. that he's able to, man, their business has doubled because he's out there doing what he's really good at. And that's all he's focused on while, everything's going. But team members, you got some adults, man. They can run on their own, but they still need some attention. They still need some guidance. You still are the one with the wisdom. You still are the one with the idea of where you're trying to take this thing. And
this is why. This is the reason the average millionaire is made after 55 years old.
Okay,
55 to 60 years old.
Help me understand that.
Well, because you've gotten your whatever you've been building.
Okay.
To the stage where it's running on its own, or it's almost running on its own. And you can actually have time to be creative here. So as the business owner, if you can get your business to this adult stage,
yeah,
that's why if you look at the people doing the most creative work, it's going into their 60s.
People that get here fast, that just get here. You can get there faster, you can get there slower, but
if you
there.
can get there,
yeah,
that's where you can be the most creative, because you don't have to put so much time in mentoring and leading, and you've got them to where you've got your team members, you got your family, where you want to be.
Yeah, I think I'm looking forward to this stage in parenting too, and your team members too. I'm looking forward to this, and I've got some folks that are getting real close to there. I've got some folks that are probably there, probably a young adult, and there's just real pride in the relationship, the wars we've gone through, the lessons, the trials, the tribulations, the trust we've developed over the years for them to be as good as they are. This is where I think, in a real tangible sense, I start finding purpose. And really, that was kind of the beginning of the purpose of my business, is giving people an opportunity to have a real career in this industry, in the landscape industry, and I've got some folks that have spent a lot of time with me, and they are real leaders in the industry, and they're really good. And I'm not saying I might have 20% to do with that, and 80% is all their effort. But we've done it together, and they've got a real good career, and they've built a real good life.
I've gotten some glimpses of this, moments of this, but then it's gone back and forth in parenting some.
Yeah.
But the glimpse of them being totally self-sufficient is a sweet place.
Yeah, and isn't that what you want for your kids?
Yeah. And your business. And my business. I'm not there yet.
Yeah, me neither. All right. How do
we can figure out how to do that. Yeah. I think this is us saying we don't know yet because we're not there.
Well, I've got some ideas of what it should be, and maybe we'll have Ricky Ritchie on at some point to explain it to us all. But that's what we're trying to strive for. So just to recap. Infancy, full focus and care, or it dies. That's your business. That's your new team member. That's your whatever. Next stage, toddler, learning to walk, bumps and bruises. Oh yeah, infancy was trust versus mistrust. Toddler is learning to walk, bumps and bruises, figuring it out. 1 to 2 team members, and that's autonomy versus shame and doubt. At this point in your business, you're getting it going. You're still making lots of mistakes because you're trying to figure it out. You better watch your cash and stay lean because you need to be able to afford a mistake. Early childhood, you're starting to have a little bit of a business here. It's developing a personality, a culture. Your team members developing a personality. They're helping to form the culture. Hopefully it's good. They're learning to push back because now they've got some real ideas and you've developed an environment that they feel safe to talk about those things. That's good. And that's initiative versus guilt, You want them to continue to learn and build initiative. Then the teenage years, they're wanting and sometimes capable of more freedom, but they still need lots of direction. They really push back at this stage. They're just trying to figure out who they are. They're trying to figure out their way in their world. Your business is trying to figure out its way in the world, in the market. And that's industry versus inferiority. Young adult, ideally, they are self-sufficient or or you could have failure to launch. They often can handle basic challenges, but big ones can throw them into a tailspin. They still need guidance. I mean, once a week is probably good enough cadence at this point, and that's identity versus role confusion. And then adults, on their own, but still crave and need leadership and guidance, and that's kind of the shiny future we're trying to get to.
And if you figure this out, like, shoot us a note.
Yeah.
We'll have you on.
Help us understand, because we've got some ideas, but we haven't been there yet. We're not at the top of the mountain. How'd we do?
Man, I think we did okay right there.
Yeah. How'd we do, listener? Let us know. Hopefully that was good content. Hopefully that's good thought-provoking content and helps you to think about your business as you are developing it. Helps you to think about your team member as you are developing them. And hopefully what it really does is it gives you some patience, some love, and some tolerance for all of those aspects, because we're playing the long game. You know, if you're in business, if you're in life, if you're developing people or developing children, it's a long-term endeavor. You can look and think and see others at a certain stage and wonder, why do I have to tell my 12-year-old to clean their room every single day? Or you could say, well, that's just what 12-year-olds do. And it's my job to manage them. Maybe I need to figure out a different way to explain why that's important to me and them, other than just yelling at them, you know. And hopefully it eliminates some of your frustration, and gives you a little bit of hope. That's what we're trying to do here. What you got, Keith?
That's good stuff.
How do people get in touch with us?
Overlaplife.com. Speaking of developing your business and developing your life, we have a new sponsor that kind of helps you do that.
Yeah.
C2 Wealth.
Saw him earlier this week. Wes Cootie.
He's got some products that we talked about earlier this week.
Okay.
That is really awesome. If you're at that stage where you're needing to figure that part of your life out and get your wealth together.
Okay, so like retirement.
He's
or
got
your business at young adult or adult stage, and it's throwing off a lot of cash.
Yep, he's got some.
He's
got some investment products right now that are kind of fringe, that are unique to entrepreneurs.
Okay,
and we were talking about it. So call him up. He can kind of fill you in on what he has.
That's awesome.
You can go to his page through us at overlaplife.com.
That's good.
And then if you need help further, Sid and I both use a product called 90. You can click on the EOS tab on overlaplife.com and get a discount right now.
And 90 is the software that helps you run EOS, and it's named after, like, well, you run L10 meetings, but they're all 90 minutes, those L10 meetings. And if you're running EOS, there's some other software out there, but this is the one. It's so intuitive and so easy to set up that if you're running EOS, I don't know what you're doing with yourself if you're not using it. What else we got?
So you're going to train jiu-jitsu in a bit, huh?
I do. Yeah, I need to.
You missed yesterday.
I did. It was the first one I missed, but I've been going at night some.
Have you?
That nighttime class is fantastic, dude.
I know. I just cannot get the night so hard.
Well, it's summer times, and we don't have as much going on at home, so I'm able to do it, and it's fun.
I should show up.
You should. It almost seems a little embarrassing when you do show. Like if you or I showed up at nighttime class, they might bow a little bit. I showed up and they're like, "Oh my God, what are you doing here?"
Yeah, call me Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, don't call me that. I was like, great, here I am. They're all going to come after me. And they're all fit CrossFit people. You got Garrett and Trey and Ty.
I don't want any part of that.
Yeah. So it's a good group. So, but I missed yesterday. Had some volunteer stuff all week. We're going to go try to get after it at lunch.
Cool.
Yeah, if you're not doing jiu-jitsu, man.
What are you doing with your life?
What are you doing?
Chris, what are you doing with your life? You're not doing jiu-jitsu.
Our guest producer over here that's walking on a treadmill. I'm not sure that's going to get you where you're trying to go. But man, hey, listener, we really appreciate you guys tuning in. There is a way more of you than I ever thought possible. So hopefully you feel our effort in bringing better and better content, or just consistently bringing you good content that's really geared towards you, the small business operator, or small business, person that's in a small business that, in just trying to make your way through life too. We're trying to help you have a better business, a better experience in work, and a better life. And back to that, jiu-jitsu will help you with that. You will get very comfortable being uncomfortable. You will understand that the obstacle actually is the way.
Go sign up for the newsletter. Overlaplife.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page. Put your email in, and we promise we're gonna start sending good stuff out there.
Yep. So good stuff. Hey, thanks guys for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Peace. Hey, I want to talk about my friend Ross Sykes at Homefront Lending. He's a mortgage broker that can help you find a home when you don't typically fit in the norm and get you financed. Reach out to Ross at hflend.com. He specializes in mortgage products for first-time homebuyers, veterans, and self-employed borrowers. They are in the business to serve you beyond the transaction. At Homefront, they are always honored to serve. hflend.com.
Okay, guys, everyone knows if you're a business owner, a business leader, or you're just a person in the world needing help with accounting, you need a real partner. You need someone that's going to listen to you and not just plug numbers in to make their job easy to do your taxes. At least that's what I want. I've been through a lot of accountants in my life, and I have yet to find one even remotely as good as Johnny Barranco. He's the owner of Barranco and Associates, and he's the kind of guy that really doesn't manipulate your books to make his job easier. He really is trying to give you insights into your business or into your financial planning world. Whatever your goals are, he's there to help. And so I just encourage you to give him a call. Barranco and Associates, look him up online. It's barrancoandassociates.com, and just see if he can help you. He really is the accountant that I recommend to everyone, even before he was a sponsor of the podcast. So please, if you need an accountant, just do yourself a favor and give him a call.